In a sign of how bad Australia's rental crisis is, a Newcastle family of 5 have been forced to live in a 3 by 5 metre shed for the past 18 months. Jessie Shuffler, her partner, and 3 boys under 12 have been living there since getting evicted from their home under a no-fault clause. Jess and her family join us now from Newcastle. Good morning to you. Thanks for your time today. I appreciate you being with us. We are so sorry for what you're going through. How did you find yourself in this situation?
So we were evicted from our property almost 2 years ago. We had a no-notice termination. So that led us to go through a few things before we became in the shed. So.
And you've got 3 kids. Where does everyone sleep? How do you function day to day?
So we have a double bunk, so it's a double bed down the bottom and a single up the top, and we've got a couple of mattresses as well.
How hard is it?
It's very hard. It's not. You try not to get too comfortable because you think this is not going to be much longer, but then obviously more days and more weeks have gone by, more months, and then it's it's pretty hard.
All right, so people out there might go, well, hang on a second. Did you apply for rental properties, other alternatives? And you have, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, there's been a bit of different reactions, and rental properties I've applied for over 200 properties.
What? And responses?
Yep, 200. Just all denied. All denied.
So what is your hope then?
I don't know what to hope for. Just a safe and warm space for the kids, really. Just somewhere where they can be comfortable and we can be comfortable just in a normal day-to-day life, really.
It's cold in there too, I'm sure, at winter. What's the most difficult thing?
Yeah. Giving the kids their own space, I think. Keeping them comfortable. Just when it is cold, and when it's hot, it's just not comfortable.
Yeah. Well, Jess, you're not alone, unfortunately, across Australia at the moment. I appreciate being on and sharing your story. And if you can help Jessie out, please let us know on our various platforms. Thank you so much, and good luck to you all. Thank you. Sarah.
Thank you, Carl.
Well, home auctions have had their best weekend in 15 months, with buyers struggling off the latest interest rate rise.
Shrugging it off too, I reckon. Economics editor of the Australian Financial Review, John Keogh, joins us now. Johnny, good morning. Are you surprised by this renewed strength in the property market?
Yeah, morning, guys. Look, it is a bit puzzling after those 11 interest rate rises that we're getting this strength in the property market. If you look at the weekend, preliminary auction clearance rate, according to CoreLogic, of 75% nationally. Now, that's the highest since before the interest rate rises actually began, and particularly strong in Sydney, Adelaide, Canberra and Melbourne, that mid to high 70% range. A little bit softer in Brisbane and Perth in the sort of 50 to 60% range, but we've seen prices rising for the last couple of months too, so definitely some resilience in the property market.
How are buyers affording these homes when interest rates have gone up by so much then? They must have had a bit in store.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the anecdotal evidence from real estate agents is that there's a lot of cashed up buyers coming in with big deposits, either from mum and dad helping them out or overseas buyers. So these bidders at auctions, they're less affected by interest rate rises because they've got such big hoards of cash.
Oh, it's surprising, isn't it, when you hear those figures, given the interest rates are biting elsewhere.
I just love the way he says hordes of cash.
It's like he knows a bit too much about it, doesn't he? You say it with confidence there. Johnny, hey, what about generally, though? Do you expect these price rises to increase, to keep going?
Well, I reckon it's going to be determined from interest rates from here. If we get 1 or 2 more rate rises, I've got a feeling it could really knock the stuffing out of the property market. But if the rates hold steady at these rates, you'd have to say that the property market's going to keep going up and we're going to keep getting these strong results.
OK, just on an equally important issue for you personally over the weekend, the Bombers win over Richmond.
Whew.
Oh,
I mean,
it was a big game.
Wow.
1 point. Yeah, it was nice to get the monkey off the back after 13 straight losses to Richmond. We always lose those dream time at the dream batches, don't we? But it was good to see the Indigenous round as well, wasn't it? A great tribute to the Indigenous players, I thought. And Sarah, you must be feeling pretty good this morning. Collingwood, another win over the old enemy Carlton, sitting top of the ladder. Don't book any holidays for September, I reckon.
We never book holidays for September, Johnny. I don't know if you know, but we've been in the finals pretty consistently the past few years.
Just can't win them.
Just can't win the big one.
No monkeys on our back, Carl. Don't you worry. Stop it.
Thanks, Johnny.
The federal government is moving to protect Australian shoppers by introducing new rules for buy now, pay later providers. Let's go live to Nine Federal Politics reporter Fiona Willan, who has the details for us this morning. Fee, what will the changes involve?
Well, Sarah, these rules will make it harder for some Australians to access these products because more checks and balances will be required. Today, the Assistant Treasurer, Stephen Jones, will announce these plans aimed at protecting consumers. After a lengthy review, the government has decided to classify buy now, pay later services such as Afterpay and Zip as credit products. So that will mean providers will have to make sure that a person can afford to use their product before it's made available. Also, late fees will be capped and new warnings and disclosures will be required. These products allow shoppers to buy items immediately and then pay them off in instalments over time. But there have been concerns raised that this is leading to financial stress, with some consumers taking on too much debt or being unable to keep up with payments. Sarah?
Thank you, Fee.
Well, Australia has joined our most powerful allies on the world stage at the G7, delivering a blunt message to China that intimidation and coercion in the Indo-Pacific will not be tolerated. We're joined now by Treasurer Jim Chalmers, who is in aforementioned Canberra. Chilly morning. How are you, Treasurer?
I'm okay, thanks, Carl. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Will China lift tariffs by the time the PM goes there in October?
Well, we've seen some good progress already on this front, I think, Carl, and I pay tribute to Don Farrell and Penny Wong and the PM. What we've said really for our whole 12 months in office is you've got a better chance of stabilising this relationship if you engage, and we've got a lot to gain from a region which is peaceful and prosperous and stable and secure, and that's why our efforts are directed at stabilising the relationship, at engaging and trying to get these trade restrictions lifted in the interests of our employers and exporters.
At the same time as you're greasing up to them from a diplomatic point of view, News Today will be making our own long-range missiles to oppose any Chinese threat. How do you think that'll go down in Beijing?
I think everybody understands that each country makes its own decisions about its own defence investments, and in the last month or two, I think we've made it really clear that we do intend to invest in our defence. Countries expect that of each other, and we're no different.
When will we start making them, and where?
Oh, I think there's a whole bunch of work now to happen now that we've announced the response to the Defence Strategic Review and obviously the AUKUS arrangements as well. There's a heap of industrial considerations, but we've said here are our priorities, here's how we're going to fund it, and these are our objectives. I think that's important, and a lot of work now happens.
OK. You've had a year in office now to get inflation under control, but in many sectors it's not under control, is it?
Oh, look, it's higher than we'd like. It's unacceptably high inflation, but it's moderating. We think it peaked around Christmas time, but it'll be higher than we'd like for longer than we'd like. That's why the budget was about providing some cost of living relief for people at the same time as we don't add to this inflation challenge in our economy. But, I mean, there's no question people are under the pump. It's a big reason why we're pleased that we're getting wages moving again in our economy. We're proud that we're able to provide a bit of help in the budget. But we know that people are doing it tough because prices are higher than we'd like.
The Telegraph says this morning some basic goods, tuna, tomato, meat, have gone up between 30 and 40%.
Yeah, and that's a combination of a number of things. Partly our supply chains are not as robust and strong as they should be. We've had some big weather events, of course, over the course of the last year or so. We've got some of these international factors playing out too. But you know, grocery prices as well as energy, obviously rent and some other areas are areas of concern to the government. That's why our agenda is so focused on getting wages going again, providing a bit of cost of living help, particularly when it comes to rent and energy prices.
Well, that's it, isn't it? The rental crisis isn't fixed either. Interest rates haven't really even stabilised at this point, so it doesn't bode well for the future. And in your budget, you said that it would get inflation under control, or at least head that way. I'm not sure we're seeing it on the ground yet.
Well, first of all, the budget was handed down the week before last. But secondly, inflation is moderating. But I don't want to pretend that it's moderating as quickly as your viewers would like to see, or that I would like to see, frankly. We need to get inflation down. We need to get wages up so that people who work hard can provide for their loved ones.
Play a significant role in that, though, with government spending?
Oh, it's one of the considerations, but it's not the only consideration. And when the Reserve Bank sits down to work out interest rates, they factor in a whole bunch of things, including the global environment.
All right, long-range missiles, any chance so they can be ready for Origin in a week and a half? New South Wales have a good side, so...
They do have a good side, but they've typically had a good side since 1980, Carl, and that hasn't prevented us from getting over the top of them.
There you go, fighting words from the Treasurer. Appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Sarah.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my God. Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?